Hello everyone, it's Miss Rofl, welcome to my new video. Today I'm going to show you my full HP KVD Boom Boom build. Boom Boom is one of the oldest weapons in Once Human, and despite all the changes the game has gone through, it has proven itself again and again. Even today, it remains one of the most popular and reliable weapons in the game. What makes my version different is that it's a full HP build. Nowadays, most weapon builds in Once Human are low HP builds. While those can be very powerful, I personally prefer full HP setups because they are more comfortable to play, more forgiving and much easier to recommend to newer players. Another reason I recommend Boom Boom so often is that it's incredibly strong right out of the box. You don't need perfect gear or perfect mods to make it work. Even while you are still building your collection, this weapon can deal impressive damage and carry you through most of the game's content. Boom Boom is also extremely versatile. It works well both at close range and at longer distances, which is something not every weapon can offer. Some regular enemies can even be killed with a single bullet. The build I'm showing today is my personal refined version built around the current mod system, but don't worry if you don't have all of the gear, mods or calibrations I'm using. One of Boom Boom's biggest strengths is that you can build it gradually and improve it over time while still getting great results. So let's jump into the build. So let's start with the weapon setup. The main weapon is KVD Boom Boom. Blueprint can be found here under Weapon Blueprints at the LMG section, and blueprint is right here. Here is my blueprint. I have it upgraded to 6 stars. If you don't have it at 6 stars, it's fine, you will upgrade it over time. Don't forget that there is also a blueprint conversion system, which can allow you to transfer stars from one blueprint to another blueprint. For example, I can transfer stars from this compound bow to, for example, this critical pulse crossbow. You see, here I have 6 stars, here I have only 1 star, and after transfer, after conversion, crossbow will have 6 stars and compound bow will have 1 star. Think about doing it before crafting your weapon, otherwise changes won't be applied to your gun. So we do the conversion, you see, stars were transferred, so now this blueprint is 6 stars and we can craft it right away, and it will have 6 stars. And what is good about blueprint conversion system is that you can do it as many times as you want, as long as you have blueprint conversion attempts. Secondary weapon is AWS 338 Bullseye, or we also call it Bingo. This is a sniper rifle, which is used as a support weapon. Blueprint can be found here in weapon blueprints under sniper rifles, and it's right here. See, I have it also with 6 stars. So, why do we use this weapon together with Boom Boom? In fact, it can be used with all other weapons, mostly. So, why does everyone like using Bingo as a support weapon in their build? Because of the bullseye feature. So, the bullseye, basically, it marks the target and inflicts vulnerability. And this particular weapon with the bullseye feature, after switching weapons, the first weapon hit will apply the bullseye to the target. So basically we use this gun to mark the target and then to continue using our main weapon. So here is how we do it. We switch to this sniper rifle, we do 1 shot, we mark the target, and then we switch to our Boom Boom and keep shooting with this. As simple as that. So me, personally, I'm not a big fan of doing so. I don't like switching weapons mid-fight. It's like a waste of time for me, even though I admit that marking target with your sniper rifle, it helps to take down the target faster. But when you have to do it mid-fight, it can be annoying. Plus, sometimes when you are switching weapons, a wrong one gets picked up. So yeah, that's what I don't like, but yeah, it's up to you. So if you want to maximize your damage, you can use AWS 338 Bullseye or Bingo as a support weapon to amplify your Boom Boom's damage. So now melee weapon. For melee weapon, of course, the most popular choice is Kukri. So this is the weapon which you can only get as a drop. There is no blueprint for this weapon. It can drop mostly from bosses. Well, at least that's how I usually get it. But it can take some time before it will drop to you. So it's random. I can't guarantee how fast it will drop to you. But if you would like to use this weapon, you will have to farm it. So this knife, personally, I don't use because, yeah, I just skip melee weapon. For this build, I don't need it. So you might have seen in some YouTube guides that prior to boss fight, people take Kukri and slice an ice cube with it. So that's how they boost their damage. Me, I don't do it. I've never done it and not going to start. Simply because I don't want to spend my time on this ice cube witchcraft. But you can do it if you want to. So for melee weapon, you can use Kukri if you want to, but you can use as well any other weapon. Okay, so this is all about weapons. So boom boom, bingo, and well, melee weapon, choose the one you want. Kukri is the best, but I play without it. Now let's talk about calibrations. For my boom boom, I use rapid shot style calibration with elemental damage attribute. For my bingo sniper rifle, I use also rapid shot style, but this time with weak spot damage attribute. Both calibrations are golden or legendary, so those are the best. So try to get golden calibrations for your weapons with the right attributes and right style. If you don't have golden calibrations at the moment, it's okay. You can apply purple quality calibrations, epic quality. All right, now let's talk about weapon accessories. So on my boom boom, as a muzzle, I have hammer compensator. As an optic, I use compact reflex sight. At tactics tab, I chose tactical laser sight. And as a magazine, I'm using calibrated LMG drum mag. And here at the ammo, well, I use medium caliber armor piercing ammo, but you can play as well with cheaper ammo like steel core one or even medium caliber copper ammo. When you are getting started, it's impossible to have enough mats to craft this ammo, so start with copper ammo, it will be just fine. Sometimes even at late game stages, I am playing with copper ammo because I'm lazy to craft something better and it works just fine. For sniper rifle, for secondary weapon, here are my accessories. So muzzle, large break, optic, large optic sight, magazine, tactical SR mag, and for ammo, sniper rifle, armor piercing ammo. So now let's talk about gear. As I always say, I don't like breaking sets. So for my builds, I prefer using 4 parts from the same set. So for this full HP boom boom build, I'm using 4 parts of shelter set. For me, it's shelter hat, shelter top, shelter pants, and shelter shoes. As an extra piece from another set, I'm using Bastille mask because it boosts my weapon damage. It gives plus 10% weapon damage when HP is above 70%. I like using this gear in my different builds, in physical and in elemental ones as well. So I'm using it in my boom boom build as well. If you don't want to use Bastille mask, you can use other gear as well. Good options will be a Renegade mask, because this one is increasing your reload speed by 10%. If you want, you can also go for Lone Wolf mask, which increases your magazine capacity bonus. As a key gear, you should use barbecue gloves. Blueprint can be found right here, in case if you don't have them yet. Now let's talk about mods. First of all, let's start with weapon mods. On my boom boom, I have Flame Resonance mod with Deviant Energy suffix. it's a shiny mod. So, guys, don't be so obsessed with shiny mods, because, yeah, they look nice, but they don't make so much difference. So, if you don't have a shiny mod, it's perfectly fine. You will get it over time if you would like to, maybe. But even without it, your weapon will shred everything, trust me. For my sniper rifle, I use Vulnerability Amplifier mod with the bullseye suffix. For my shelter head, I use Deviation Expert mod with Deviant Energy suffix. For Bastille Mask, I use Blaze Amplifier mod with Deviant Energy suffix. For Shelter Top, I use Quick Comeback mod with Deviant Energy suffix. So why do I like this mod, Quick Comeback? Because when using a healing shot, movement speed plus 20% for 2 seconds and refills the magazine from the inventory to 100%. So basically you reload your boom boom while using an activator, a healing shot. So this is very convenient. For Shelter Pants, I use Elemental Resonance mod with Deviant Energy suffix. For Barbecue Gloves, I use Elemental Overload with Deviant Energy suffix. And for Shelter Shoes, I use Covered Advance mod with Deviant Energy suffix. So, this is the set of mods I'm using right now. However, you might want to switch Gloves mod if you need to. So, let me explain. Elemental Overload, it's one of 2 options you can use for this build. So, Elemental Overload is just here. So, it's one I'm using right now. But you might also want to use Flame Resonance mod. So Flame Resonance or Status Enhancement, it's exactly the same. So Status Enhancement also with Deviant Energy. So what is the difference between these 2 mods? So Elemental Overload is given plus 18% element damage bonus, while Flame Resonance is given status damage bonus plus 20%. So one mod is boosting elemental damage and another one is boosting status damage. For elemental builds like Boom Boom, both elemental damage and status damage are very important. When making your builds, you need to watch these 2 stats very carefully. So elemental damage bonus is here, Blaze, so for Boom Boom. And status damage bonus, you need to watch these 2. You want these 2 values being approximately the same. So as you can see now, status damage is 73.6 and elemental damage is 106%. So this one is bigger. But once I use my food buff, well, my drink buff, which is Whimsical Drink, let's check it now. Status damage 108.1% and elemental damage bonus 106%. So they are almost equal. So yesterday I was experimenting with build. I switched mods a few times. So I used Elemental Overload, then I used Status Enhancement, but after bringing my build to a point, after testing everything, I've found a perfect combo of mods, and that's the combo I showed you. So watch your stats carefully here, and if you see that, for example, you have too much of elemental damage and not enough status damage bonus, then go for status enhancement. If you see that you have too much of status damage but not enough elemental, go for elemental overload. Okay, so this is all about mods. Now, as we are talking about gear, let's also talk about hides I used for making it. So for shelter head, I use Valley Cow hide. Upon taking crit damage, recover 15% HP, cooldown 30 seconds. So I really like Valley Cow hide. I use it in all my full HP builds. For Bastille Mask, I'm using Dreamy Rabbit Fur for elemental damage plus 6%. For shelter top, I use Wasteland Wolf Skin for max stamina plus 20 and sprint speed plus 5%. For shelter pants, I use also Wasteland Wolf Skin for max stamina and bonus to sprint speed. So for barbecue gloves, at this time I'm using Starfall Crocodile Skin for extra gravity crystal yield, plus 10%. And effect doubles while airborne. So as now there is Gravity Abyss event, Gravity Abyss Vision, I really like using this Starfall Crocodile Skin, or any other Starfall hide will work too. But most of the time, outside of events like Gravity Abyss, I use Golden Wool. So the hides you will use on your gloves, they will just impact the yield of certain things. Hides don't really affect damage on gloves. And for shelter shoes, I use Wasteland Wolfskin for movement speed plus 6%. So those were the hides I used to create my gear. Now, Cradle. For Cradle, I use Light Weapon Mastery, Precision Weapon Mastery, Rapid Aid, Tactical Combo, Status Enhancement, Deviant Energy Defense, next Elemental Sense, and Blazing Detonation. So those are my Cradle nodes I'm using in this build. And now, Combat Deviation. The best deviation for Boom Boom is Pyrodynam, or the version I'm using at the moment, Chaosaurus. Chaosaurus, it's exactly the same deviation as a Pyrodyna. So Pyrodyna is a dragon like this. Yeah, it looks like this. You can use or Pyrodyna, or if you have one, you can use Chaosaurus. So Chaosaurus or Pyrodyna, it doesn't change much. Chaosaurus is just a special appearance of the Pyrodyna. So on my Chaosaurus or Pyrodyna, I have Power Rewind 2 trait, I have Psychic Kid trait, and Moonlight Assault. So Power Rewind for Deviant Power Recovery Speed plus 10%, so it recharges faster. Psychic Kid gives status damage bonus plus 5%, and Moonlight Assault for faster Deviant Energy recovery at night. So this is the deviation I like using the most with Boom Boom. But if you don't want to use Pyrodyna, or you don't have one, you can also go for Voodoo Doll, because Voodoo Doll is kind of a versatile deviation. Or also, what is quite popular to use with Boom Boom, but I don't use that deviation, is Invincible Sun. Invincible Sun, it's this deviation. And now let's talk about food and drink buffs. So, as I'm a chef, I can use 2 food and 2 drink buffs at the same time. So here, you see, there are like little dots. So each dot is a buff. So I have 2 hydration buffs or drink buffs and 2 energy or food buffs. You see? So I can have up to 2 in each category. While other players, if they are not chefs, they can use only 1 buff in each category. So here are the buffs I use with my build. So as it's a full HP build, we don't want our sanity to drop. We don't want our HP to decrease. We want it to be as high as possible. So for this, I use Stardust Malt Ale. You can have 2 versions of it, or with deviated ingredient, or with a usual ingredient. So depending on the ingredient used, you will have or 100 pollution resistance, or 105 pollution resistance. So deviated ingredient will give you higher pollution resistance. So this is the beer I always cook and I always have on me and I always drink. So second drink buff will be Whimsical Drink for 25% status damage bonus. By the way, you can have this bonus even higher. Now let's take it. And now let's see how many percent do we have here. Instead of 25%, we actually have 42% status damage bonus, which is a huge bonus. Yeah, it's a huge addition. 25% status damage bonus, it's already great enough, but you won't deny that 42 is much better. So how did I obtain this 42% status damage bonus? First of all, I have Chef Azara's Rex Deviation, well, of a good level with a good trade, and it boosts the effects of my dishes by 38%. Look here at the bottom. And also I have a perk which is called Iced Treat Brain Freeze. Iced Treat effect duration plus 200% and potency plus 30%. So Chef's buff and this Iced Treat Brain Freeze buffs, that's what is improving the effect of my drink. Plus, on top of that, I have a Stardust Fusion Stove, which increases dish base effect by 40% and effect duration increases by 75%. So here I have fully upgraded Stardust Fusion Stove. So here is the buff I was talking about, Iced Treat Brain Freeze. So if you want to have all these buffs, well, you have two options. Well, first option is to farm everything by yourself. So you need Stardust Fusion Stove. You need to be a chef as well, because without being a chef, you won't be able to unlock these buffs. So these buffs can be unlocked at your campfire stove. Let me show you how. So here in menu management, you have upgrade. You see, I have everything maxed out. Well, it's not so complicated, but first you will need to earn stall popularity here, and by using these points you will be able to upgrade your stove. And after you upgrade your campfire stove, you can apply the same buffs to the stove you build well, at your territory, to the usual one, or to the Stardust Fusion Stove like the one I use here. So this is fully upgraded stove. So, or you farm all these perks as a chef. Well, not all of these perks are chef related, but to have all these perks, yeah, you will have to be a chef. Or another option, you can ask someone to build this stove for you. I tried, and these buffs, they stick to the stove. So as long as it's placed with someone who unlocked all the buffs will stay on the stove. So it's not personal, it's not unique buffs attached to a character. Okay, now let's talk about food buffs. So the most important food buff is Hearty Meat Stew. Here, it increases blaze damage by 15%. You need to cook it with goat meat. So, or you can use goat meat, a usual one, like this, because goat meat boosts burn damage. Or you can use it with pristine goat meat for burn damage plus 3%, while regular goat meat will give you only 2% burn damage bonus. So, well, difference is not so huge, but if you like min-max, and yeah, you need to go for pristine goat meat. So, Hearty Meat Stew. So, Hearty Meat Stew is a recipe from a winter map. So, if you don't have an access to the winter map, you can buy this recipe at Deathsville. So, let's go to Deathsville. Here you go and see Weber shop. And here in the formula tab, you look for Hearty Meat Stew. It's just here. So it can be purchased with old currency. So old currency, it's the currency which drops not so often, but you can find it in loot, in high-level settlements usually. So you can purchase it here in case if you don't have it yet, or if you don't have an access to winter map. Me, I didn't buy it here. I have it since my first Way of Winter scenario, and I got it for free on the map. Don't remember where, though. So, and for the second food buff, you can use or crumbly bread, Well, that's what I'm using all the time to increase all weapon damage by 25%. Or, if you want, you can also use bone-in deviated sausage. This one increases your damage against bosses by 15%. But if you will cook it, don't forget to cook it with goat meat to boost your burn damage even more. If you want, there is also flaming egg tart option. This one increases your burn damage by 10%, but I never use this one personally. So here are my food and drink buffs I'm using with my full HP Boom Boom build. Now that we've gone through the build itself, let's talk about where Boom Boom performs well and where it struggles. Overall, Boom Boom is one of the most versatile weapons in the game. It's strong during progression, strong in endgame content, and unlike many weapons, it performs well both at close range and at longer distances. I've personally used Boom Boom for most of the content in Once Human. I've completed Nightmare Silas with it, I've used it throughout multiple seasons, and I even soloed Leia Lab with it in the past. So, if you're wondering whether this weapon is capable of handling endgame content, the answer is definitely yes. That said, Boom Boom is not perfect. The biggest weakness of the build comes from enemies that are resistant to elemental damage. The most notable example is the Forsaken Giant. You can absolutely kill him with Boom Boom, but he is not the boss this weapon enjoys fighting the most. If your goal is to farm this boss regularly and as efficiently as possible, there are better options available. And same for Ravenous Hunter. You can kill this boss with Boom Boom, but it will be easier with other weapons. The same applies to Securement Scylla X1, especially on Pro and Nightmare difficulty. It's completely doable with Boom Boom, but compared to some other builds, the boss can take noticeably longer to kill. For general gameplay, Silas, Monolith, open world activities, events, and most endgame content, Boom Boom performs extremely well. It's really only a small number of elemental resistant encounters where you start feeling the weapon's limitations. And that's one of the reasons I like recommending this build to newer players. You can invest in Boom Boom, use it to clear most of the game, farm gear, collect mods, and build up your account without feeling like you are wasting resources. Then later, if you decide you want a dedicated setup for bosses that resist elemental damage, you can simply build a second weapon for those encounters. For example, if you're looking for a strong full HP alternative, specifically for elemental resistant bosses, I recommend checking out my full HP P90 build. So for me, Boom Boom remains one of the best progression weapons in the game and one of the easiest builds to recommend to both new and experienced players. Thank you so much for watching my video, I hope it was helpful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and see you in my next videos. Bye bye.